Repair Clinic makes fixing things easy, with millions of replacement parts available on our website and the help you need to do the repair yourself. Since we encourage you to perform this procedure safely, a warning icon will appear when you should use caution. Most electric dryer repairs will require some disassembly of the appliance. Before you attempt this, be sure to unplug the power cord. To detach the dryer door, use a T25 Torx bit to remove the 4 mounting screws, securing the door hinge to the front panel. With the screws unthreaded, you can lift the door up to detach it from the door frame. To separate the inner and outer door assemblies, use a Phillips head screwdriver to unthread the 10 screws, holding the 2 assemblies together. If you need to replace the door hinge, use the T25 Torx bit to unthread the 5 screws, securing the hinge assembly. Detach the old assembly. Align the new hinge assembly on the inner door panel. Thread and tighten the 5 screws to secure the assembly. To reinstall the door, first realign the inner and outer door assemblies. Thread and tighten the 10 screws. Now hook the door hinge onto the front panel door frame. Then thread and tighten the mounting screws. To access the water inlet valve and nozzle assembly, you will need to remove the rear panel. Before you do this, shut off the cold water supply. Remove the water supply line from the inlet valve. Be prepared for some water to spill. Remove the external venting as well. Use a 1/4-inch socket or nut driver to unthread the rear screws, securing the top panel and bracket to the rear panel. Slide the top panel back and lift up to detach. Next, remove all of the screws, securing the rear panel to the frame and bulkhead. Unthread the screws on top, including the ones securing the control board bracket. Pull the rear panel forward and lift up, then rotate it out of the way. To remove the steam nozzle and supply tube, open the dryer door and use a 1/4-inch socket or nut driver to unthread the screws securing the steam nozzle assembly cover. Remove the cover. Unthread the screws securing the metal mounting bracket. From the rear of the appliance, detach the mounting bracket. Use pliers to depress the retaining tabs so you can release the nozzle assembly from the bracket. Use a small flathead screwdriver to release the locking ring retainer on the inlet valve. Depress the locking ring to release the water supply tube. Slide the tube out of the plastic retainer to fully remove the component. Replace or reinstall the steam nozzle and supply tube by feeding the tube through the plastic retainer and fully inserting it into the inlet valve. Slide in the locking ring retainer to secure. Position the new nozzle and fitting through the rear of the metal mounting bracket. Use a small flathead screwdriver to raise the bracket retaining tabs to hold the fitting in place. Reposition the bracket in the rear bulkhead. Now from the inside of the dryer, rethread the screw to secure the bracket. Realign the plastic cover and rethread the screw to secure. Reinstall the rear panel by inserting the lower tabs behind the edge of the base. Fully align the panel on the frame under the control board bracket. Replace the screws on top first. Replace the remaining screws on the back. With the top panel off, you can remove the control housing by first unthreading the screws securing the housing. Next, disconnect the control panel wire connector from the control board. You can now lift the control housing and panel up and out to remove. To uninstall the front panel, disconnect the door switch wire harness. Lift up the front of the dryer and support it. Use the 1/4-inch socket or nut driver to fully unthread the outer screws, securing the bottom of the front panel. Loosen the 2 middle screws. Remove the support and lower the appliance. Next, open the dryer door and use a Phillips head screwdriver to unthread the 2 screws, securing the front panel to the bulkhead. Use the 1/4-inch socket or nut driver to unthread the 3 top screws. Lift the front panel up and out to remove. If you need to uninstall the front bulkhead, first unthread the screws securing the control housing bracket. Unthread the screws securing the front of the control board bracket. Use wire or tape to support the bracket. Lift the control housing bracket up to remove. Disconnect the moisture sensor wire harness. Unthread the screw to release the lower retaining bracket. Now unthread the 4 screws securing the front bulkhead to the frame. You can now lift the bulkhead up and detach it from the drum and frame. You can remove the drum by pushing the idler pulley to release the tension on the belt, then unthread the belt from the pulley and motor shaft. You can use the belt to help lift out the drum to access components like the blower assembly, drive motor, and heating element. To uninstall the drive motor, first unthread the mounting screw to release the blower cover. Now use a 7/16" wrench to secure the motor shaft and a 1/2" square drive socket to loosen the blower wheel by rotating it clockwise. Fully unthread the wheel. Next, disconnect the motor wire harness. Use pliers to remove the front and rear motor retaining clips. You can now lift out the motor. Replace or reinstall the motor by properly aligning it on the mounts. Snap the retaining clips into place to secure the motor. Connect the motor wire harness. Secure the motor shaft, then thread the blower wheel counterclockwise and tighten. Replace the blower cover and secure it with the screw. Replace the drum by aligning the smaller rim on the rear rollers. Loop the belt around the pulley and motor shaft in a zigzag formation. Now rotate the drum to help align the belt. Reinstall the front bulkhead by hooking it onto the frame as you align the rollers under the drum. Rethread and tighten the 4 screws to secure the bulkhead. Replace the lower retaining bracket and secure it with the screw. Reconnect the moisture sensor wire harness. Reposition the control housing bracket on the frame under the control board bracket. Replace the screws. Continue the reassembly by repositioning the front panel on the loosened screws. Feed the wire under the control housing bracket, then align the top edge of the panel on the mounting tabs. Thread and tighten the top screws. Replace the screws behind the door. Support the dryer and tighten the two middle screws securing the bottom of the front panel. Thread and tighten the outer screws. Remove the support. Connect the door switch wire harness. Feed the control panel wire through the housing and control board mounting brackets and snap the control housing into place. Rethread the screws to secure. Connect the wire connector to the control board. Realign the top panel and bracket, then slide it into position. Thread the screws in the rear and tighten. If applicable, attach the water supply line to the inlet valve. Reattach the external venting to the exhaust outlet. With the reassembly complete, turn the cold water supply back on if needed. Plug the power cord back in, and your dryer should be ready for use. At Repair Clinic, we make fixing things easy. Thank you for supporting the production of these videos by purchasing your parts from our website.